तीरा वनचारी जमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी यशोदानंदन रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन भज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे राधा गिरिधरी राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय प्रभुपदा श्रील प्रभुपदा जय गुरुदेवा श्रील गुरुदेवा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे। As per our standard practice, I'll begin with the Mangalacharan and then I'll read from Srila Prabhupada Lilam. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Tam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Pad Kamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sagan Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagan Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरा भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Reading from Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I'm reading from page number 99. The title of this chapter is The War. September 3, 1939. Lord Lithgow, Viceroy of India, announced that India was at war with Germany. Thus, England swept India into the war without consulting any Indians. Although independence-minded India certainly resented such a show of foreign control, there were mixed feelings about the war. India wanted independence, yet she sympathized with the Allied cause against fascism in the West and feared an invasion by Imperial Japan in the East. Since you dislike the British so violently, one author asked a typical New Delhi student of the day, would you want Japan to invade and conquer India? Student, no. But we Indians pray that God may give the British enough strength to stand up under the blows they deserve. Although at the outbreak of the war, India had only 175,000 men in her armed forces, the British managed to increase the number of Indian soldiers to 2 million. There was no draft, but the British sent recruiting agents all over India, especially in the Punjab, where military service seemed an attractive offer to the local poor. The Punjabis proved good fighters, whereas Bengalis enlisted as officers, doctors, contractors, and clerks. Indian soldiers were dispatched to battlefield in Egypt, Iraq, Syria, Persia, Malaya, Burma, and Assam. While the British were attempting to mobilize Indians for the war, the Indian nationalist movement, which had continued off and on for more than 20 years, became very active. Members of the Congress party refused to cooperate with the war effort and demanded guaranteed independence for India. Some thought that since England had her handful with Germany, the time was ripe to revolt and gain independence from force and gain independence by force. Gandhi's position had been one of unconditional pacifism, and he had opposed the idea of Indians taking up arms even to defend India. But by 1942, he had become more inimical and had reduced his policy towards the British to a simple, unequivocal quit India. Thousands of India responded by chanting slogans in the street and even by tearing up the railway lines. Abey's militant former schoolmate, Subhash Chandra Bose, fought against the British in his own way. He had approached Hitler in Germany and gotten him to agree that when the Germans captured Indian soldiers, German would return them to Bose, who would maintain them in his nationalist army. With this army, Bose planned to return to India and drive the British from Indian soil. But dissatisfied with his progress in Germany, Bose made a similar agreement with Tojo in Japan. And soon thousands of Gurkhas and Sikhs, the best fighters in the Indian army, had defected from the British army to join Bose's freedom fighters in Singapore. Bose again Bose began to prepare his army to invade India from the north. Then in 1943, the British found that the Japanese, who had already taken Burma, were at the doors of India, approaching Bengal. By their tactic known as the denial policy, the British sank many Indian boats carrying food and destroyed large rice crops, fearing that they would fall into the hands of the enemy. This left in local Indians starving, and without the boats they needed for trade. The famine that ensued was the worst that had hit Bengal in 150 years. The government removed all controls of food costs, and those who could not afford to buy the skyrocketing prices died in the streets of Calcutta. Now, now it begins with Srila Prabhupada either speaking or commenting. Srila Prabhupada, I've got experience. The government created artificial famine. The war was going on. So Mr. Churchill's policy was to keep the people in scarcity so that they will volunteer to become soldiers. So this policy was executed. Big men, they collected the rice. Rice was selling at 6 rupees per mound. All of a sudden, it came to 50 rupees per mound. I was in the grocer's shop purchasing, and all of a sudden, the grocer said, "No, no, I'm not going to sell anymore." At that moment, the price was 6 rupees per mound. So suddenly, he was not going to sell. A few hours later, I went to purchase, and the rice had gone up to 50 rupees per mound. The government appointed agents began to purchase the rice and other commodities which are daily necessities. They can offer any price because the currency is in their hands. They can print so many papers, $100 and pay. A man becomes satisfied thinking, oh, I have $100, but it is a piece of paper. That was the policy. You have no money, no rice. So another avenue is open. Yes, you become a soldier. You get so much money. People out of poverty would go there. I've seen it. No rice was available in the market and people were hungry. They were dying. I think I can stop here. This text which I've read gives us an impression about the difficulties of the World War and the difficulty being faced by India. Srila Prabhupada recounts his own experience of those days. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Now I will pick a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam and yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let's first glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन विद्यन्स्त्वय्य भद्राणि विघ्नोति सुहृत्सतां नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेव्या भगवत्युक्तं श्लोके भक्तिर्भक्तिनैष्टिकी यत्कीर्तनं यदीक्षणं यद्वन्दनं यत्स्मरणं यदर्हणं लोकस्य सद्यो विधनोति कल्मषं तस्मै सुभद्रश्रवसे नमो नमः देवगानां यथा गंगा देवानां अच्युतो यथा वैष्णवानां यथा शंभु पुराणानाम् इदं तथा सर्वशास्त्राब्धि पीयूषा सर्ववेदैक सत्फला सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाद्या सर्वलौकिक दिक्प्रदा सर्व श्रीमद् भागवत प्राण श्रीमद् भागवतो प्रभो कलिध्वांतित आदित्य श्री कृष्ण परवर्ती. So today's verses there are two verses, and they are from chapter 20. And the title of the chapter is Lord Vishnu's Appearance in the Sacrificial Arena of Maharaj Prathu. So since there are two verses, and the first verse is without purport, I will bring up on screen second verse or repeated recitation by devotees present if they like. And I'll read the first, and then I'll read second, and then I'll leave it open for repetition. So text 1. Maitreya uvacha Bhagvanapi Vaikuntha Sakam Magvata Vibhu Yagnair Yagpatistushto Yagnabhuktam Abhashat. Maitreya uvacha Bhagvanapi Vaikuntha Maitreya uvacha Bhagvanapi Vaikuntha Sakam Magvata Vibhu Yagnair Yagtapas Yagnair Yagpatistushto Yagnabhuktam Abhashat. Maitreya uvacha Bhagvanapi Vaikuntha Sakam Magvata Vibhu Yagnair Yagpatistushto Yagnabhuktam Abhashat. Whatever translation and translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maitreya uvacha, the great sage Maitreya continued to speak. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, Api also, Vaikuntha, the Lord of Vaikuntha, Sakam along with, Magvata, King Indra, Vibhu, the Lord, Yagnai, by the sacrifices, Yagnapati, the Lord of all Yagna, the Lord of all Yagnas, Tushta, satisfied, Yagnabhuk, the enjoyer of the Yagna, Tam unto King Prathu, Abhashat said. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued, my dear Vidur, being very much satisfied by the performance of 99 horse sacrifices, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, appeared on the scene. Accompanying him was King Indra. Lord Vishnu then began to speak. Now this is verse number 2, which you can see on the screen. And I will first recite verse only, and then I'll leave it open, as I said earlier. Text 2. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Este Karshid Bhangam Hai Med Shatasya Hi. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Este Karshid Bhangam Hai Med Shatasya Shamapayat Atmanam Amushya Kashantum Arhasi. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Este Karshid Bhangam Hai Med Shatasya Shamapayat Atmanam Amushya Kashantum Arhasi. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Este Kashid Bhangam Hai Med Shatasya Shamapayat Atmanam Amushya Kashantum Arhasi. Once more. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Este Kashid Bhangam Hai Med Shatasya Shamapayat Atmanam Amushya Kashantum Arhasi. Now you may please unmute yourself, and one by one you can recite.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Eshate.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Sorry.
Eshate Karshid Bhangam Aya Meda Shatasya Shamapayata Atmanam Amusha Shantum Maharshi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am trying.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Maitreya Uvacha Bhagavan Vaikuntha Shakam Magavata Vibhu Yagya Yagyapati Stushto Yagya Bhoktamo Abhashata. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Esha Te Karshid Bhangam Hayamedha Shatashaha Kshama Atmanam Amushya Kshantum Arhashi.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Maitreya Uvacha Bhagavanopi Vaikuntha Sakam Magavata Vibhu Yogyo Yogyo Patistushta Yogyo Bhuktam Abhashata. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Esha Te Karshid Bhangam Hayamedha Shatasyaha Shamapayata Atmanam Amushya Kshantum Arvashi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. I am also trying the second one.
Please, why not?
Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Esa te karsiti bhangam haya medha satasah samapayat atmanam amushya shantam arhasi. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, devotees. Now I'm going to read word to word translation, and purport. Word to word translation. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, spoke. Esha, this Lord Indra, te, your, Akashit, performed, Bhangam, disturbance, Haya, horse, Medha, sacrifice, Shatasya, of the 100th, Ha, indeed, Shamapayat, Shamapayata, who is asking pardon, Atmanam, unto yourself, Amushya, him, Pashantum, to forgive, Arhasi, you ought. Translation. Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, said, my dear King Prathu, Indra, the King of Heaven, has disturbed your execution of 100 sacrifices. Now he has come with me to be forgiven by you. Therefore, excuse him. Purport. In this verse, the word Atmanam is very significant. It is a custom among yogis and jnanis to address one another or even an ordinary man as one's self. For a transcendentalist never accepts a living being to be the body. Since the individual self is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the self and the super self are qualitatively non-different. As the next verse will explain, the body is only a superficial covering, and consequently, an advanced transcendentalist will not make a distinction between oneself and another. Prabhupada ki jai. I will first bring up a picture of Prithu Maharaj, who is sitting there at the time of his coronation with Queen Archie. And we can see where various demigods are making presentations of celestial gifts. Now, coming to this today's two verses, let's have an understanding of the background in which these two verses are spoken by Maitre Muniji and then later on Bhagwan himself, Lord Vishnu. So far, we heard that Prithu Maharaj had successfully milked Mother Cow, who was actually Mother Earth, and by milking, he was able to satisfy the food necessities of his citizens. After this, Prithu Maharaj initiated a 100-horse sacrifice called Ashwamedh Yagna. This performance of Yagna was intolerable by King Indra, head of the heaven. King Indra thought that this will undermine his position, and at the same time, this will strengthen the position of King Prithu. In order to prevent completion of this yagna, Indra, by using the fake dress of a sannyasi, he tried to steal the last horse. So far, Prithu Maharaj had completed 99 horse sacrifices. And in order to prevent it getting completed, the Ashwamedh Yagna, King Indra attempted to steal the last horse twice. But at the instance of sage Atri, the heroic son of King Prathu stopped Indra in his attempts, and but he did not kill him, regarding him as a sannyasi, though he was wearing the dress of a fake sannyasi. It angered King Prathu. King Prathu decided to kill Indra. But when the priest present in the yagna heard about it, they forbade Maharaj Prithu from doing so, because they felt that they advised rather King Prathu that the sacrifice is meant for animal sacrifice, not for killing any human being or demigods. Priest said that we will kill King Indra by invoking some mantras, and by the force of mantras power, they will be able to kill in King Indra. When Lord Brahma heard about it, he came and he stopped the priest from doing this exercise of killing Indra. They said, Brahmaji said that you cannot uh, kill Indra because he is the head of the demigods. And when you are offering oblations in the sacrifice for demigods, how can you kill uh, the head of the demigods? And at the same time, Brahmaji also addressed to King Prathu. He said, you and King Indra are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Lord. So, since you know the religious principles, why are you bothered about completion of this 100 horse sacrifice? So, if you try to punish King Indra, he will create more fake sannyasi systems. It is from this point of time this fake sannyas system came into existence. King Prithu accepted the advice of Brahmaji, and he concluded his horse sacrifices even at 99 horse sacrifice, not completing the 100th one. And then the yajna was completed, and generous gifts were given to priests, and in return, priests gave abundant blessings to King Prithu. So in this backdrop, Lord Vishnu, as we heard from the first verse, he arrived at the sacrificial arena along with King Indra. So this is the background, and now we'll look at these two verses. In the first verse, as we heard, that Lord Vishnu appeared on the scene. Someone may ask a question as to when the yajna was completed, as to why Lord Vishnu appeared. Why didn't other demigod come? What was the reason behind Lord Vishnu's appearance? So to understand this point, we can refer to Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, Krishna says, Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhurev cha. Na tu mama bhi jananti tat nataschavanti te. Krishna says that aham hi sarva yajnanam. Of all the sacrifices, I am the master. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta. First he says that I am the supreme enjoyer. Bhokta cha prabhurev cha. And I am also master of all the sacrifices. Na tu mama bhi jananti. If you don't know this, in reality, then you may fall down. Then you may fall down. Srila Prabhupada says that on commenting on this verse, that people, generally speaking, those who are not into Krishna consciousness, they worship demigods, and then they remain entangled in this cycle of samsara. And therefore, it is necessary to know who is the supreme enjoyer of the yagnas and who is the master of yagnas. So it is Lord Vishnu, or say Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Now someone may say that, okay, if we do not perform any yagna for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu, then what happens? Then we get entangled. We entangled in the cycle of karma. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, Krishna says to Arjuna, Yagnat karmano nyatra loko yam karam bandhana tadartham karam kaunteya muk sanga samachar. Yagnarth Karmano Nyatra. As we know, one of the names of Lord Vishnu or Krishna is Yagna. So here in this verse, it is said that, which is confirmation of what I've said earlier, that if we don't perform Yagna for the pleasure of Vishnu, we will be entangled in the karmic cycle. So here it says that Krishna himself is confirming. Yagnat karmano nyatra. Yagna. Yagna is, as I said, the name of Lord Vishnu. Earth, for his sake. Karmano nyatra. If you do any performance other than for the sake of Vishnu, you will be entangled. Loko yam karam bandhana. Loko ayam. In this world, you will be entangled in karam bandhana, in the bondage of karma. Therefore, Krishna advises, Tadartham karam konteya. Therefore, for Vishnu's sake, perform your yajnas, then you will be muk sangha samachar. You will be perfectly liberated. Again, someone may say that, okay, I don't do any karma. I stay away from any sacrifice or karma. Then what happens? And Krishna gives advice, no, you can't. Nahi kashi kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karam karate hayvasho karma sarve prakriti jair gunai. Not even for a moment we can remain inactive. We have to perform. Why we have to do so? Why we are under such force? Because the main constituent of our existence is soul. And soul is an active principle. It is very dynamic. It is not like dead matter. It is very active and which forces us to perform action after action. Then it may be said that if it is so, then stay away from action. Krishna also gives us advice in the same chapter. Netam kuru karam tam karam jayo hai akarmana. Sharir yatra chapite na prasiddheta karmana. I particularly chose this topic because of this verse. Netam kuru karam tam karam jayo hai akarmana. Sharir yatra chapite na prasiddheta karmana. It is in this verse, the third part, which says that Sharir Yatra Chapite. This is this attracts me very much. And that's where I want to share my thoughts. Krishna says that you have to do your karam niyatam kuru karam tam. You have to do your niyatam means constantly. You have to perform your actions, your karmas, or your actions regularly, constantly. Karam jaya hi karmana. It is better to perform karma than remain akarmana, not doing any action. And then what is this? Sharir yatra chapite na prasiddheta karmana. Sharir ki yatra. This life is sharir ki yatra. That sharir yatra chapite. This is journey of the body. Sharir means body, yatra means journey. Due to wrong impression, majority of people who have not got in touch with Bhagavad Gita, they think this life is all in all. This life is, and we are also influenced by various kind of product selling advertisement, which says that this is your life, this you have to get in this life only, you have to achieve all that what you want in this life. This leads to illusion that this body is all in all and there's nothing beyond this body. What Krishna has explained in second chapter from verse number 12 to 30 about the difference between body and soul is summed up in this one part of this verse. Sharir yatra chapite. This life is just a journey of the body, not a journey of the soul. Soul is eternally moving from one body to another body, and we have now got a chance to get out of this cycle. So therefore, I consider this verse very attractive from my understanding. Here, in this verse, in the beginning, Krishna is giving advice. Netam kuru karam tam. Srila Vishwanath, Srila Vishwanath Thakur gives us an explanation on this particular part. Netam kuru karam tam. It's not just doing our routine work to maintain our body. Srila Vishwanath Thakur says that Nitam Kuru Karam means you have to do your Sandhya Upasana Adi. This is a particular words Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti has used. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says that you perform your devotional services, then whatever time you are left with, you do to maintain, you do what? To maintain this body. Sharir yatra chapite na prasiddhe. Now, another point may arise as to what kind of karma we should do, what kind of action we should do. So Krishna gives us advice. Karmanam hayapi bodhavyam cha vikarmana. Karmanascha bodhavyam gahna karmano gati. There are three types of action which are performed. One is karam, one is akaram, third is vikaram. The karam is, as we all know, I'm just repeating as a reminder to myself. Karam is what is prescribed as per the Vedas. What the Shastra says, that is karma. And what is vikarma? This is whatever is said in the Shastra, we do against that. That is vikarma. The karma gives us good results, and that earns piety, and that gives us opportunity to live happily. But vikarma puts us into degraded form of lives, and then as a consequence, we have to suffer. But in the karma, neither of these things happen. Karma means only devotional service. So by doing a karma, we remain unentangled. So this gives us opportunity to do more and more akarma, more and more devotional service, and thus we get the opportunity to go back to Godhead. So the point here is that, in conclusion, on this point, akarma is what we are doing, a devotional service, and we have to continue to do so. Now we take up another point. In this point is from second verse. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, as the next verse will explain, the body is only a superficial covering, and consequently, an advanced transcendentalist will not make a distinction between oneself and another. On this point, that means we have to have a vision where we can see with evenness of mind or equanimity. This equanimity is also discussed in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says in 5th chapter, Vidyavini sampanne brahmane gavi hastani shuni chaiv shapakecha panditasam darshina. A humble sage, by the strength of the knowledge he has acquired, sees equality between among brahmane, a learned brahmana, gavi, an elephant, gavi, a cow, hastini, an elephant, shuni, a dog, jai, shavake, and a dog eater. Some darshina. He sees equality in all these entities because he sees Paramatma in each of these living beings. So therefore, he has equal vision. How to get that kind of equal vision for us? First of all, why we are looking at it? Because this is the purport says that A transcendentalist doesn't see any difference between one body and another body. How is it possible to develop that kind of outlook? So Krishna gives advice in the same chapter. Tad buddhyas tad atmanam tan nishtas tad parayana gacchante punar avritam gyan nirdhut kalmasha. In the first part of the verse, the word tad has come 4 times. Tad buddhyas tad atmanam tan nishtas tad parayana. Tat means that Supreme Lord. Tat buddhyas. You have to apply your intelligence. Tat buddhyas, tat atmanam, your mind. Atmanam here is used for word mind. And then tan nishtas. Then you have to develop faith in that supreme, transcendental Supreme Lord. Tan nishtas tat parayana. Then you have to take shelter. And then by doing these 4 acts, you get a chance to develop a vision which is called evenness of the mind. And what happens if we develop that? What is the benefit? Brahma Bhut Prasannatma. This is verse from 18th chapter. You all know. Brahma Bhut Prasannatma na shochti na kangshti sama sarveshu bhutechu tat mat bhaktim labte varam. Krishna said, if you develop that kind of equanimity, you get my bhakti. Mat bhaktim labte param. Brahm Bhut, and even in this life, you remain happy. Brahm Bhut Prasannatma, na shurti, na tankshti. You don't have any lamentation, you don't have any desire. Sama sarveshu bhute, because he looks everybody with equal vision. Now, Brahm Bhut, Srila Prabhupada explains, for impersonalists, it is merging with the absolute. For personalists, like we devotees in Hare Krishna movement, for us, that means more and more devotional service. That is our Brahmbhut state. We remain happy when we are performing devotional service. Is this then a point arises or a question arises, is this the only way? I came across very beautiful advices from Lord Krishna in 11th canto, and I'm going to share my screen with the verses. Yeah. Let me first give you some idea about the background of this topic, how Krishna is giving advice to Uddhava. In the 28th chapter of 11th canto, Krishna, at the request of Uddhava, gave knowledge about the Gyan Yoga, yoga and knowledge. But Uddhava found it difficult to implement it, saying that same thing which Arjuna said in which chapter, which is talking in the 6th chapter. The difficulties of mind. The mind is very stubborn. Mind is very unstable. And then Uddhava requested Krishna to give some better option of achieving perfection, of going back to Godhead. Then Krishna talked about the Bhakti Yoga. In talking about, when Krishna was talking about Bhakti Yoga, Krishna also gave advice to Uddhava that you have to develop equanimity among all living beings. So in this background, Krishna is here speaking. It is, as you can see from the screen, iti sarvani bhutani madbhaven mahadyute sabhajayan madhyamano jnanam kevalam ashrita. Brahmane puksestene brahmanyarake sufalingike akrure krure chaiv akrure krure chaiv samdrik akrure krure chaiva samdrik pandito mataha. Brahmane puksestene brahmanyarake sufalingike akrure krurike chaiva samdrik pandito mataha. Krishna says that iti sarvani bhutani. Thus, O Uddhav, Maha you most effulgent, Maha Uddhava, iti sarvani bhutani. Thus, consider all the living beings madbhaven with the view of my presence in them. Sabhajayan manyamano. Give respect to them. Sabhajayan means respect. Give respect to them. Manyamano. Knowing. Jnanam, knowing the knowledge, kevalam. Kevalam here means transcendental knowledge. And that transcendental knowledge differentiates between body and soul. Remaining dependent on that transcendental knowledge, respect everyone. And who are the candidate Krishna selected? Brahmane, a Brahman, a learned Brahman, Pukkase, an outcast, Stene, a thief, Brahmanya, a devotee who is propagating the science of Krishna, Rake, sun, Safulingike, a spark in the fire, Akrure, a very devilish person who's not very soft, and sorry, Akrure means gentle, Akrure means not so gentle, a cruel person, Chaiv Samdrik, Pandito Mata, a learned Pandit sees equally with all these entities. If we go back, there are various different characters. Brahmane, a learned Brahman, Pukkase, an outcast, Stene, a thief, Brahmanya, one who's propagating Krishna consciousness, Rate, sun, Sufulungike, fire, spark in the fire, and gentle and cruel, both. Actually, practically, when we think of it, it's very difficult when we see somebody committing cruelty on someone. Uh, we are bound to develop some kind of disgust towards that cruel person. But Krishna is advising that we should have the same vision. We should not see any difference. And if we do so, then what happens? Or rather, then what happens? Nareshava bhikshanam madbhavam pumso bhaveto chirat spardha suya tiraskara sahankara vyantihe sahankara vyantihi. Human beings abhikshana constantly madbhavam, when they see my presence among all the living beings, then what happens? Achirat, without any delay. Spardha, the competitiveness, asuya, uh, envy, tiraskara, neglect, sahankara, false ego, vyantihi. Vyantihi means this is destroyed immediately. If we start looking at a living being with the equal vision, considering the presence of the Supreme Lord in them, then these things, these bad attributes immediately are destroyed. In the next verse, Krishna gives us the method of giving respect, how to give respect. Visrajya samyamanan swan, drisham vidam cha dehikim, pranmed dandavat bhumavas chandal, pranmed dandavat bhumav shva chandal gokharam. Visarja samyamanan, giving up. Visarja means giving up. Samyamanan, they ridicule coming from our own family members. Swan means from our own family members or even friends. Vrisham Vridam, and feeling any Vridam means any embarrassment towards all those embodied. The list of which was given in the previous verse. Pran me dandavat bhuma, just fall flat. Dandavat, like a rod falling flat. Offer them obeisances. Pranam med bhuma, And who should be given? Shwa, Ashwa, a dog, a Chandal, an outcast, Gokharam, a cow, and asses. So it looks like a undoable kind of advice from Krishna, that you see a dog and you offer dandavat to him, or you see a cow or an ass, you offer dandavat to him, these two animals, or even chandal. But then Krishna gives us further advice. Yavat sarveshu bhuteshu madbhavopnopajayate tavat evam upasita vanmanakaya vrittibhi. As long as you have not developed the feeling that I am present in everyone, until that time, you give respect through Van Mana Kaya Vritti, through your voice, through your speech, through your mind, through your activities, and through your tendencies. You offer respect to all these entities. Um, in the purport of this last verse, I picked up something very interesting, and particularly the one which is highlighted in green color. Please, I request all devotees to pay attention to that. Until one fully realizes the Supreme Lord within all living beings, he should continue the process of offering obeisances to all creatures. Although one may not be able to actually fall on the ground before all creatures, at least within his mind or by his words, one should offer respect to all living beings. This will accelerate the devotee's self-realization. Now, if we do this, offering respect to everyone we see in at every place, then what will happen? And when we do this kind of exercise, the focal point will remain Krishna. Oh, there is a Krishna in his body. So we are offering respect to Krishna. And by doing so, what is again? Krishna's words are, Krishna's instructions are followed. Antakale samamaiva swarna muktva kalevram ya priyati samadbhavam natya asamshaya. And then in the in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Padam Puran, we will be able to follow this verse. Samritavya satatam Vishnur visamrityo na jatuchit sarve vidhi nishedha syur etayor ev kinkara. If we follow the instructions given by Krishna, which is given to Uddhava, if we also follow that, then we develop the habit, or we following again this verse, Samritavya Satatam Vishnu, we will be able to remember Krishna all the time. Visamrityo na jatute, we'll never forget Krishna. With these words, I will give a pause to my speech and will leave it open for devotees to make comments or some suggestion on what I've said. Hare Krishna. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna Guruji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam.
Yes, the beautiful class started with that new chapter 21 and 2 texts, which symbolizes the importance of body and mind, and how you explain throughout your lecture the definition to understand the body and the soul, the very respective examples, and finally concluded how to understand the body and mind in separate way, and because we are the part and parcel of the Lord, and finally concluded with them Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 11, Uddhav, Uddhav Gita that we need to understand the importance through the mind, through the soul, because we are the part and parcel of the Lord, and that can be done throughout our life by understanding the importance of the sloka 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. And finally, from Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is 113. Smartoi Shatadam Vishnu, Vismartoina Jatuchit, Sharbe Vidhi Nishida Shayu, Etoireva Kinkara. And that is the only way to remember Lord all the time. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for guiding us and showing the importance how to understand and remember Krishna all the way throughout our life. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for your kind comment, but I am not guiding anyone. I'm just passing on what I heard from Gurujans and superior devotees. But in any case, thank you very much for your kind comments. Anyone else? Or shall we say thank you?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Dandavat.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for nicely bringing the point that we should always make a difference between the body and the soul, and we should always remember that this life is only one of the lives. We are getting one after another, and in the circle of 8.4 billions of births and deaths, we have got this human life, and in this human life only, as you have told, we can understand the difference between the body and the soul, and no other life we can understand it, and it is an opportunity for us to understand it properly, and in the process understand our relationship with the Lord, and only by understanding that we can remain in our original swarup or the original position, and in this way, by serving the Lord, we can go back to our original home, and go back to Godhead. So thank you very much for that. And the other thing, sometimes I think you have all told, but one of that we have only one life. This is not only the, as you have told, only by the marketing people, but unfortunately there are other religions also who speaks of that, and that is, and they have got a significant numbers, and that's why their influence is there. We cannot avoid it. But if we know the truth, then whatever may be told outside and anywhere, we should remain focused on that, and find out what is our responsibility and duty. And by performing that, we can go back to Godhead, which is the goal of this human life. And only by becoming Uddeshta, without being envious to anybody else, by practicing only, achieving those qualities only, we can do that. It is not only by saying is easy, very easy. We can say, we can quote a sloka or anything like that, but to realize it in life is very difficult, and we have to, by our everyday effort, we have to make so that we can, in our life, we can bring this change, and through us we can influence others also to follow us, what we say, and in this way we can ensure our journey to the Supreme, the original home, the Supreme Lord's abode, and also help others to follow the same path. And it is one of the reasons why Srila Prabhupada has created this ISKCON, and through ISKCON we can utilize it. All the opportunity he has given us, it is our responsibility to not only strengthen it, but to make forward, but to get forward along with others in our present life. So thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your nice lecture.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Yeah, you are right. There are a lot of people who are ignorant about the existence of soul in our body. So therefore, my Guru Maharaj says that as devotee in ISKCON, we have greater responsibility to spread the message of Bhagavad Gita all around. And by doing so, we will be benefited. Ya idam paramam guyam mat bhakti shabad dasati bhakti mayam paramam kitva Mamaveti samshaya. He will come to me. So therefore, not only that we develop devotional qualities in ourselves and perform devotional service, but we also have greater responsibility of spreading the messages of Bhagavad Gita. So we will, and devotees are in fact doing by many ways, by doing Sankirtan in many ways, by distribution of prasadam, by distribution of book, by organizing classes and so on. So that's a devotees are doing, but still there is always scope of doing with greater enthusiasm and speed. Anybody else, or shall we just conclude it here? Last chance. There doesn't seem to be anyone now. Thank you very much, dear devotees, for being present and patiently listening to what I said. Thank you very much.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
कृपा
कृपासिन्धुभ्यो
सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। कोटि वैष्णव की जय।
Jai. His Grace Anadi Mohan Prabhu ki
जय।
Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
हरि बोल।
All glories to Assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा।